Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the Court of Appeal ruling today that the Tory Rwanda scheme is indeed unlawful. I'll be discussing the particulars of the case, the main political arguments and what happens now, because this is Nova. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, very brief background. The Rwanda scheme, for those who don't know, is an absolutely insane policy in order to distract the public from Tory incompetence by, as usual, blaming foreigners for society's ills. They used to achieve this by bashing the EU. Not so easy now. In fact, Brexiteers are so stuck for ideas that Ian Duncan Smith has had to resort to blaming America for the failure of Brexit. But the Tories have now decided to create a small boats refugee crisis, which never used to exist, and then decide to solve it with utterly unworkable and, as we've seen again, illegal proposals. The Rwanda scheme involves paying the Rwandan government a load of money, and it is a load of money, to take an unspecified number of asylum seekers from the UK, but also bring back an unspecified number of asylum seekers from Rwanda. So there's no suggestion that it's even a net loss of asylum seekers from the UK. The government tend not to mention that last bit, by the way, but their published explanation on the government website absolutely does, because it's all part of the formal agreement with the Rwandan government. But the scheme has been labelled illegal for various reasons, but mostly because Rwanda is not considered a safe country for refugees. The government initially won a case in the High Court, but now the Court of Appeal has ruled that it is illegal after all. Now, I want to caution people here. See, for a start, there were 3 judges on this Court of Appeal, and one of them did rule in favour of the government. So, I'm looking at it and thinking it's not as clear-cut as some undoubtedly expert lawyers may be suggesting. Also, as I understand it, the appeal succeeded not so much on the basis that Rwanda has a terrible human rights record, but that the UK government cannot guarantee that Rwanda will not send the asylum seekers back to their country of origin. Because the idea is we pay Rwanda to process their asylum claims, and any successful claimants are then supposed to settle in Rwanda. But what if Rwandan officials don't carry out the process properly? They just decide that loads have failed their applications, deport them, and still trouser all the money that we're giving them. So 2 of the judges have considered that we don't really have a robust guarantee that Rwanda will not send genuine refugees back from where they fled. Suella Braverman insists that she has assurances from Rwanda. I've got documented everything. Yeah, Neville Chamberlain had assurances as well. He had a piece of paper. How did that work out? Rishi Sunak has, of course, predictably, said that they will appeal to the Supreme Court, so it's not over yet, but that will be the last stage. Unless, of course, they want to take it further and appeal to the European Court of Justice. Oh, wait, no. Sunak does make the point that the UNHCR has a refugee agreement with Rwanda regarding Libya. So there are some arguing, well, if they think it's safe enough for such an agreement, why shouldn't we? And you could indeed make such an argument, which is why I say I don't think the Supreme Court decision will be the foregone conclusion some may be imagining. But I would also say this, why are Brexiteer Tories pushing the assessment of a foreign body and attacking a British one? Just incapable of consistency, it seems. But that's the legal update. So now on to the politics. So some Tory MPs are, as I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn, muttering about leaving the European Court of Human Rights again. I'm not sure which ones have no idea what they're talking about and which ones are just insane. But let's go through the obvious. First of all, these Tories don't have a problem with the European Court of Human Rights, which, for the avoidance of doubt, has nothing to do with the EU, by the way. A court simply applies the law. So when you've got an issue with a ruling from a court, what you've actually got an issue with is the law itself. But ultimately, the legal issue they have is with the Refugee Convention. But this is a UN convention. So if, as they insist, what they want is for the UK government to only be bound by UK law, that's their sovereignty thing. Oh, we should only have laws in the UK that are decided in the UK. None of these nasty foreign laws. Well, then they need us to withdraw from the UN, don't they? Which is not only nuts in itself, but means giving up our permanent seat on the Security Council. But a more immediate consequence of leaving the European Court of Human Rights would be an immediate breach, very serious one, of the Good Friday Agreement. I mean, the entire structure underpinning the agreement would completely unravel if we were no longer part of the European Court of Human Rights. It's very much the skeleton upon which the agreement is based. So I suppose we can expect DUP support. Naturally, the Tories are not going to actually do this. In theory, after the election, if they replace Sunak with someone properly insane like Suella Braverman, it's possible the Tories might adopt it as party policy, but it might look a bit weak when the next Labour government deal with the issue without such drastic action. Actually, as an aside, I am genuinely curious to see how the Tories are going to react when Labour managed to drastically reduce not only the number of small boat crossings, but backlog of asylum seekers, without having to actually whine about lefty lawyers and Marxist judges. It won't stop them whining about foreigners, of course, they have to. It's their only recourse. But it will somewhat sink their argument, won't it? That we had to leave the Council of Europe in order to deal with the issue if Labour just deal with it. They'll have to turn attention to the fact that Labour achieved it by, well, they just let the refugees settle and work in the UK. That's not what we wanted. It's like, yeah. But we will also deport more than the Tories, because we'll be processing the unsuccessful claims as well as the successful ones. And we can deport the unsuccessful ones, no problem. No court has an issue with that. No lefty lawyers have an issue, as long as we've done it properly. In addition, if filling loads of vacancies around the country with refugees boosts our economy, I'm not really sure how many people will ultimately care. Especially if the Daily Mail goes under because they've just paid Boris Johnson £1 million of a fast diminishing budget to write a load of crap each week, which I gather, according to sources, isn't even boosting sales for them. But anyway, that is the update on the Rwanda scheme. So far, we've spent £140 million on it and counting, and we've yet to send a single asylum seeker to Rwanda. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships, and until next time, I'll see you later.